Leviticus is a book of the Bible with a bad reputation. In case you're unfamiliar, let me offer some of the reasons why. Perhaps the most obvious reason is this: the book of Leviticus can be boring. This book is a report of what God instructed Moses to instruct the people Israel. And few people find instruction manuals fascinating. Many folks who start out so determined and excited to read the whole Bible all in a row stall out on book number 3. It is extremely detailed, often about issues that do not seem relevant to our modern lives. But if you manage to persevere through all of that detail, you'll find some of the strangest content in the entire Bible. Leviticus contains grisly details about animal sacrifice and stomach-turning advice concerning illness and injury. I will spare you the details. Then there are the baffling bits. It tells us not to seek after wizards, and that shellfish are monstrous evil, and that we should never wear garments made of mixed fibers. So our Harry Potter collections and our shrimp cocktail and almost every article of most people's modern wardrobe, all of that is out. This book also deals with sexual ethics, and mostly those passages are designed to protect the vulnerable. But 2 very specific passages have been used as a weapon against folks in the LGBTQ community, twisting the original language through translation to imply that queer love is inherently evil. If you're curious about those quotes and the context and all the work that has been done on those translations, I'm happy to discuss them later. But between the boring and the strange and the harmful, it can be tempting to avoid this book of the Bible altogether. It certainly deserves a content warning. But let's consider why this book is in the Bible in the first place. Leviticus is an attempt to help the Israelites discern what their life could be like after enslavement in Egypt. How can they begin to disentangle their culture and practices from the oppressive ones that they have been living in as enslaved for generations? How can they form a society based on freedom and mutual respect? How can they be holy in their day-to-day lives as their God, as our God is holy? At the heart of this instruction book is the idea that we belong to God, and because we belong to God, a God who formed us, who calls us good, a God who leads us to freedom, we are called to be holy too. Some of the ways that the community that formed the book of Leviticus understood what holiness means may seem surprising or problematic for us. But many of their values remain central to Christian understandings of holiness today. In the passage that Andrew read, we make ourselves holy by honoring the holiness of one another. We honor the holiness of those who are close to us, like family members. We honor the holiness of those who are vulnerable in our society. We honor the holiness of those who are different from us. We make ourselves holy, Leviticus tells us, by honoring the holiness of one another, not with sentimental love, but with love in action, with generosity and rest and honesty and justice and compassion. This is what it really means to be holy. How might we be more holy, honoring one another's holiness more completely today in this community? Last week, those of you who participated learned I'm introducing some visitors this September. These are folks who are using their wisdom and experience to teach the public, anyone who will pay attention, anyone who is willing to learn. They are offering to teach us about how our society is harmful and what we can do about it. So this week, meet Alice Shepard. She is a disabled choreographer and dancer and the founder of the dance company Kinetic Light. Much of what Alice Shepard does in her work builds on basic disability rights principles, so let me give you a little review. The disability rights movement advocates for nothing about us without us and leadership by the most impacted. And she has founded a dance company that is led in all of its departments by disabled artists. The disability rights movement has advocated for accessibility through the law and altering existing systems to allow more folks to more fully participate, as well as working to develop ideas of what they might call universal design, some kind of ideal which might be able to accommodate all people. And she explores the gifts and limitations of the accommodations required by law and the paradox of pursuing universal design when people often have competing or conflicting needs. She has a whole piece about ramps, which is fascinating. More and more, the disability rights movement advocates for intersectional justice work. Alice Shepard is deeply invested in collective liberation, and she works from her perspective as a disabled queer person of color. So, here are some words directly from her. Disability culture and aesthetics are bound up with access, but not in the sense elucidated by the law. We are accustomed to thinking about accessibility as being about an accommodation that bridges the gap between the disabled and the non-disabled worlds. But activists and disability justice communities emphasize access as a process and a way of creating connection between disabled people, a way of knowing and being in the world. She says members of the disability community have been involved in all aspects of the Kinetic Light shows, from pre-show communications and training to front of the house staffing to an upcoming seminar. People have flown in from across the country to share in this event. The audience feels like family, and we have done our best to welcome them as opposed to accommodate them. The language used to describe accessibility in the law. We did not get it all right. I know that, she says. But access is also about the commitment to learn and be with each other differently. Next time, we will learn more. Alice Shepard's work challenges us to respect difference and also to move beyond a limited concept of who a disabled person is or what they can do or experience or express. About 25% of the U.S. population currently identifies as disabled. And those of us who do not identify in that way, it is only a matter of time until illness or aging or injury change the way that we live in the world. Just like the folks who recorded the book of Leviticus, we like to categorize one another and draw clean lines. We segregate folks into sick and well, or first world and third world, or educated and ignorant, or wealthy and disadvantaged, or able-bodied and disabled, or straight or gay or queer, or neurotypical or neurodivergent. Sometimes these distinctions can be given with pride, but they are also often made with value judgments. And they are oversimplified. They oversimplify in a way that masks our intersectional diversities and our lived experience. There are so many ways of thinking and hearing and seeing and moving, of experiencing and acting in the world. And we have so far to go if we want our world or our congregation to be more fully accessible and more welcoming, if we want to do better, learn better for next time. How might we become a bit more holy as our God is holy? How shall we honor what is holy and true and magnificent in one another? Please pray with me. Holy, holy, holy God, merciful and mighty, loving and liberating, teach us to know and love ourselves in our complexity. Teach us to honor and love one another in our diversity, those who are closest to us, and those who are most vulnerable, and those who are strangers to us. May we learn how to welcome one another as you welcome us.